All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, August 6th. We have a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video, like we always do. We're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any of the other plays in the games that I like player props. But as always, guys, all of my final plays, so what I'm actually rolling with myself, if you do want to fade me, all my plays are going to be listed in the pinned comment. Yesterday, somehow, some way, we scrounge out another positive night. We had Rafi Devers over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. That was like a minus 130-ish play. We were able to boost it with an MGM boost up to minus 102. And then Twins, Cubs, Nerfy, they didn't score a run for like 3 innings. Unfortunately, our two-man underdog slip did not come through. But nonetheless, another positive night, 2-1. We shall take it. Now, in terms of our ride of the day, we were away the last couple days, so we didn't have the ride of the days going on. But let's get back to it today. If you don't know what the ride of the day is, all you have to do is use hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Drop your favorite plays or play of the day, and I jump on board with one person's pick, give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. The way that we pick that one person is by going to the comment that has the most likes on the comment in the comment section. So while you're down there dropping your ride of the day, make sure to check out everyone else's, because who knows, someone might throw out a nice banger of a pick and you're like, wow, didn't even really think of that. I like that angle. Hit the like button, show some support there. But yeah, in terms of hitting the like button, hit the like button on this video as well. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's get rocking and rolling here. Game number 1 is going to be Cleveland taking on Arizona. So far in this series, one game in, we've had a high-scoring game, which is expected on the Arizona side of things. They literally have been scoring 5+ runs like it's their day job, which, hey, day and night job, right? But Cleveland now comes in with a bunch of runs scored, and maybe their offense is kicking it back into gear. That Baltimore series scored a decent amount of runs. Now they start off this series scoring a decent amount of runs. Now we are expecting some weather, I believe, here today in Cleveland, but overall, I still look at this one and I say 7.5 is a total you can get it at right now. Now, a lot of books have it at 8. Our graphic right here has it at 8, but if you can snag this at 7.5, I don't mind taking the over. You have Ben Lively on the mound for Cleveland, who, like I always say, it's like I've said good things about him, I've said bad things about him. He's been pitching very well as of late, but he's going to go up against a really, really tough Arizona offense here. And then on the mound for the Diamondbacks is going to make a season debut here for Eduardo Rodriguez. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey, he's going to go and blow away Cleveland, right? So I think that this could be a spot for more runs to be scored yet again. So my first lean is the over 7.5. I don't love it as much at 8, even though it's essentially the same thing. But, you know, to me, to get it at 7.5 seems like it could be a little bit, you know, better. 5-3 game, that type of thing. In terms of what I think on a money line, now, you're backing Eduardo Rodriguez doing this, but for plus 100 odds, one of the hottest teams in baseball right now offensively, yeah, as long as Rodriguez doesn't go out there and let up, you know, 7 runs type of thing, I think the Diamondbacks could still have a chance of winning this one. So I'm going to lean towards the Diamondbacks solely because you have a plus number instead of a, you know, a minus number in terms of the odds there. So give me the over as well as the Diamondbacks. All right, next up, we're looking at Pittsburgh taking on San Diego. Now, Pittsburgh's coming out of a tough series against Arizona. They scored 8, 4, and 5 runs, and they lost 2 of those 3 games. So even though their offense has been, you know, kind of cooking as of late, they still haven't necessarily been crushing it. Even when they played Arizona a couple weeks ago, right? They scored like 5+ in 2 games, only ended up winning 1 of those. So Pittsburgh's offense, you know, though their recent game logs may not look like they're winning a lot of games, they're scoring a lot of runs. The problem is they're, you know, coming into, you know, or facing one of the best offenses in the league right now. Though they have a lefty on the mound, Bailey Faulkner for Pittsburgh, San Diego doesn't hit lefties as well as they do righties. I still do think you have Dylan Cease starting for Pittsburgh. Like, how can you not get behind this guy right now, right? Last couple starts have been really good for him, obviously. I mean, throwing a no-hitters in the mix there as well. And what was that, 3? So he threw the no-hitter, but 2 starts before that, he hadn't allowed to earn run. And then last start against the Dodgers, he went 5 2/3 of 1 earned run baseball. So he has 1 earned run in his last 4 starts, 0.8 ERA over his last 5. I think you got to trust Dylan Cease here in this spot. The way that I would end up playing it is probably going to be doing the first 5 run line. That way we can isolate Dylan Cease and still get some decent odds. Minus 125 over on DraftKings right now. And we know that Cease is going to throw a ton of sliders. Pittsburgh, though their offense has been cooking, still in the last 30 days here, ranked just 22nd in terms of runs above average against the slider. Now, Bailey Faulkner is going to throw a bunch of fastballs, and San Diego's really only middle of the pack against fastballs. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, San Diego's going to go out there and score a bunch of runs. So this total sitting at 8, I still lean over, but I don't think this is a game that gets up into, you know, 5-6 or, you know, even like a 5-4 game. Like I think that there's a chance this one goes under, but to me, that 8 is just a little bit too juicy because, like I said, 5-4 being a floor, that's 9 runs. It could get there. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the over, but tough to do when I'm putting a lot of faith into Dylan Cease, right? So if I had to rank this, I'd definitely go, you know, first 5 run line and money line for the Padres, depending on the juice you want to pay, money line for the Padres, and then potentially look at the over. But trusting the hot hand in this one, Padres first 5 run line, definitely a strong candidate here for a final play. The only way that, you know, I don't think that makes sense is if you are sitting there being like, well, Dylan Cease is due for a bad game or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, that could be an argument to be made. But to me, you know, I think this Pirates lineup isn't strong enough to be the team that, you know, bucks the trend in a sense. And honestly, speaking of bucking the trend, let me talk to you guys about Prize Picks because their new deposit offer is bucking the trend. Obviously, a lot of these DFS sites and player prop apps out there do the first deposit match and that type of thing, but I like how Prize Picks is switching it up. Now they have a great deal going on where you just play $5 into an entry and get 50 instantly. It doesn't matter if that entry hits, doesn't matter, you know, what you deposit. All you have to do is go sign up, place a $5 entry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your boy can count, and then you're going to get 10 times that instantly into your account. So go ahead and check out Prize Picks, guys. If you don't know what it is and you live under a rock, let me tell you real quick. You combine 2 or more player props into a slip. The more you win, the more you get paid out, and it's available in plenty of states, even some states that it originally got yanked out of. Now they have peer-to-peer versions, so definitely go ahead and check it out. Again, play $5, get $50 instantly. You can just sign up using the code GuyBoston or simply use the link in the pinned comment. It's going to auto-apply all of that, and it is Taco Tuesday today, meaning there's probably going to be a bunch of discounts that they drop over on their site like they do each and every Tuesday. So go check out Prize Picks, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. Take advantage of that new deal. Let's jump back into these games. All right, Miami taking on Cincinnati here. Miami actually bigger on, I mean, I guess not when you look at it from what happened yesterday. Like, it makes a little bit of sense, but decent, you know, underdog here. I don't really love the idea of Cincinnati at -142. You have Max Meyer on the mound for Miami going up against Nick Lodolo. But the way that I've been playing Cincinnati lately, or at least looking at them, is 1, are they going up against a righty? Great. 2, does that righty throw a bunch of fastballs, which is Max Meyer's territory here, because Cincinnati right now ranked first in the last 30 days for runs above average per 100 fastballs seen in the league. So I guess I have to consider that price. Now, Lodolo on the mound has been really good on the road this season, which is good because Max Meyer, as much as an up and down sort of, you know, I guess spot that he's in lately, he's actually been really good at home. 0.91 whip, 3.7 FIP, an expected FIP of 3.4, and a batting average against of just 200. And he only walks 4% of guys at home. So definitely a good spot for him, but he throws 40% fastballs. He's going to throw a ton of sliders. That's his main pitch. So, you know, that's something to consider as well. But to me, if I can see a big chunk of your pitch mix as a fastball, you're going up against Cincinnati, I like the spot. Now, yesterday's game, if it goes just like that, then, you know, wouldn't be surprised. It was 10-3 yesterday. Give me the over as well as Cincinnati here because I don't think Cincinnati really wins these, like, close games. If their offense isn't cooking, they're not going to win. For example, their last 4 wins, right? 10 runs scored, 6 runs scored, 6 runs scored, and 7 runs scored. Like, they don't pull out these 2-1 wins or anything like that lately. So if you see the books giving Cincinnati a lot of juice on the money line, I do think that that's sometimes an indicator for an over, or considering them just on the team total over. It doesn't have to be the full game over. All right, Washington taking on San Fran here. We have Mackenzie Gore on the mound for Washington going up against, I believe it's Hayden Birdsong. Not all that thrilled with this matchup entirely. One thing I will say is you do just have 2 heavy fastball pitchers on the mound. Gore's going to throw about 70% fastballs, and then Birdsong's over 50% himself. So I guess if you can get this right around 9, then maybe I'd consider an over. But again, like neither one of these offenses is all that impressive either. So probably a no-touch type of a game for me. In terms of the odds, I do think you have a better team in San Francisco. Overall, they've won, what, 8 or 7 of their last 10 games. Not the best competition. They played Washington yesterday. They got the win there. And they played Cincinnati, Oakland, Colorado. Like, we have to take it with a grain of salt, but still playing some good baseball, whereas Washington has lost more games than they've won recently. So I'll lean San Francisco. -120 odds. Don't necessarily hate it. They have a slightly better bullpen, and by slightly better bullpen, I just mean they have a I mean, Washington's bullpen's bad. That's how I would say it. It's really not even a nod to the San Fran bullpen. So give me them on the money line as well as a slight lean towards the over. Nothing special in this one, though, honestly. All right, Yanks taking on the Angels. Luis Gil on the mound for the Yankees, going up against Davis Daniel. I would just consider the Yankees and maybe some sort of a money line parlay. I don't really want to go out there and lay the -1.5 because, again, I like to tell you guys when I bet the -1.5 to run lines, I like closer to even odds or plus money, and it's -130 right now, best bet over on ESPN. So for the Yankees, -1.5. So don't really love that. Now the Angels have won a couple games in a row here, right? Against the Mets, 5-4, and then 3-2 in games number 2 and 3 of that series. But the Yankees also coming off of a pretty strong performance. Even the game they lost against Toronto in game 1 of that series, they scored 5. Then they win the next 2 games, scoring 8 in one of those. And Luis Gil is on the mound, like I mentioned too. Has been trustworthy. Last 5 starts here, he's got a 2 flat ERA. Last 4 starts, he's gone 1 earned run, 1 earned run, 1 earned run, and then 3 earned runs against the Phillies. So he's been pitching really well, and he's going to throw a ton of fastballs. 50% of his repertoire there. The Angels just 23rd in terms of runs above average against the last 100 fastballs. So not necessarily a great spot for them. On the other side, Davis Daniels pitching for the Angels. He's going to throw 51% fastballs. The Yankees, do we even need to say it? Like, batting really well right now, but against a fastball, top 5 team in the league. So probably a decent amount of runs coming for the Yankees, but even their team total is a little bit kind of like priced out, I guess you could say. Over 4.5 or -165. Like, don't love that. So this is probably a parlay piece, if anything. I would consider the over because, hell, maybe the Yankees go out there and score a boatload of runs and the Angels kind of, time up heel. So maybe that's the play, the over. But overall, this game, I would say, is definitely comes down to pricing, and the books are ahead of the bettors in this one, like they normally are. All right, Toronto taking on Baltimore. This one, I'll just give it to you straight. I like Baltimore. I think you're getting a good price for them. You have Chris Bassett on the mound for Toronto. I like that I say I'll just give it to you straight as if, like, I make it hidden what side I'm on. I literally tell you my leans. But nonetheless, let's get back to it. Chris Bassett absolutely god-awful against lefties this season, right? And you have this Toronto team. Kowser's a lefty. Rushman's going to be a switch-hitting lefty today. Gunnar Henderson's a lefty. Santander's going to be a switch-hitting lefty. O'Hearn's a lefty. That's 5 straight guys in their lineup. Then you get to Mountcastle, their 5-hitter, righty. Then you go Mullins, lefty. Then you go to Mayo, righty, and then Holiday, lefty. So literally you're going to have 7 lefties or switch-hitting lefties facing Bassett today. This should be a good spot for Toronto to get to him. He does throw a ton of sinkers, or Baltimore to get to him. He does throw a ton of sinkers. That's not necessarily Baltimore's forte, but overall, Grayson Rodriguez, Chris Bassett, I'll take Grayson Rodriguez any day of the week. And I don't mind Baltimore to score a decent amount of runs today if you want to consider maybe, their first 5 team total or even their full game team total. You can get it over 4.5 right now for just about even odds, -101 on FanDuel. So not terrible, but for the price that we're getting here, I do think that this is a fair spot for Baltimore, right around that -140 number. Now, that being said, if you want to go first 5, I like that as well because now you're targeting Chris Bassett. But this is such a bad Toronto bullpen, I wouldn't mind those the latter innings. You're to be able to pull this one out. So I wouldn't play this all the way to like -150 or anything like that. But I just think that the fact that he can't pitch against lefties and Baltimore, an already good offense, is stacked with lefties, should be a decent spot for them. You know what I mean? In terms of the total, I don't think that Baltimore really carries their weight today. He's going to throw a ton of Grayson Rodriguez throws a ton of fastballs, as we know. Toronto, terrible at hitting the fastball, so I don't necessarily see them really getting to him all that much. So I'm going to lean towards, again, Baltimore team total over, but kind of stay away from pulling the trigger on the over for both teams because though Toronto's bats have been decent, I don't like this matchup at all. So I don't want to bank on them carrying their own weight today. And let me show you what I mean using the dashboard that we built here. You can see, obviously, Baltimore's offense has been good in the last 30 days, but all of these fastballs, right? 55% in Grayson Rodriguez's pitch mix, 26 in terms of Toronto hitting the fastball for runs above average. Then they go to changeup, just 23rd, and this is where we saw the nugget of the left-handed hitters against Chris Bassett. They have been way, way better, batting nearly 300. So I think it's a decent spot to kind of fade him and maybe back this lineup today. And by the way, guys, if you do want access to this sheet, just $2.99 a month, but you become a channel member. We have exclusive videos for you and all that good stuff. There's a join button next to the subscribe button. We also have a become a baller link right, and we call the ballers, the channel members, the ballers, right in the description of this video. You get a link every single day. It breaks down each and every game on the tabs here at the bottom from a pitching perspective, from a batting perspective, and what I like is that it's color coded. Like I eyed in on this red bed right here. I was like, where's Chris Bassett's, flaw, left-handed? Then we can go look at their expected lineup, and boom, we kind of have a pick in mind. You know what I mean? So consider that, guys. Link in the description. All right, Braves taking on Milwaukee. Bryce Elder on the mound for the Braves, going up against Colin Rea, who has not been very good on the road this season. And Milwaukee's offense is kind of fallen off, one of the better offenses against righties, definitely, about a month and a half ago or so, maybe even less time than that. Now ranks nearly bottom 5 in a lot of categories, including last in K percentage. So they're striking out more against righties than any other team right now over the last 30 days. So definitely a little worrisome there. The one thing I'll say about Colin Rea, and like I said, he's been kind of rocky. It's like he's either doing good start, bad start, good start, bad start. Like even while he's been up and down, they've won 4 of his last 5 starts, and he has a 2.2 ERA over his last 5. So say what you want, he has been kind of, I guess when he rocks hard either way, okay? But Bryce Elder's pitching for Atlanta, and he has been very bad. 4.2 ERA over his last 5. You look at him on the season, nearly a 6 flat ERA. Is this the spot for Milwaukee to come in and say, hey, let's get back to business and let's go score a bunch of runs? I don't necessarily think so, but I don't think that the Braves are worth the price that they're at right now, minus 135, with a pitcher like that on the mound. So even though Milwaukee's offense has been, ice cold, I'm still going to look at them here at plus 120 odds. Seems like it's a good deal. Their bullpen, obviously a good bullpen as well. So is Atlanta's. So, you could go first 5, but at the same time, then it's like, what if Colin Rea has one of those bad starts, right? There's no time to kind of make it up. So I'm going to think full game in this one. Both bullpens are rested. Let's see what they got. Give me Milwaukee on the money line. When it comes to the total, I think this is like a 4-3 game because, like I said, Milwaukee, their offense has not been good yet. I'm thinking they could win the game today, right? So I'll lean towards the under, and I also don't mind a potential play of the Nerfy. You're looking at these guys through the second time in the order and whatnot, their numbers get worse, but, through 3 outs, Elder and Reyes should be okay here. So I don't mind a Nerfy in this spot either. Quick cut in here. Obviously, you guys have probably seen that we haven't done many player props so far in the video. We don't get to too many player props in this one. We were just on vacation. We look at player props a little bit more on vacation. I figured get right back to business for the full slate breakdown. Did I say that right? So we decided to focus on, the sides and the totals in this one. But keep an eye on the pinned comment for any added player props. No promises that they'll be in there, but just wanted to let you know that I'm aware that we didn't toss too many player props out in today's video, unfortunately. But you know what? We'll get back into the rhythm of everything like that. I just wanted to focus on breaking down the full slate after being on vacation for a couple days. All right, St. Louis taking on Tampa Bay. Springs on the mound for Tampa Bay, going up against Sonny Gray for St. Louis, who he really has not been all that great as of late. Sonny Gray, 4 flat ERA over his last 5. Now, you can make the argument that he looked good in his last start. 7 innings pitched, 2 earned run, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. I think it was like 13 pitches per inning. They lose the game 5-4, but still, he pitched okay, right? Through 7 innings. So maybe there's a little bit of like, hey, Sonny Gray's getting back into form, and it is a Tampa Bay lineup that struggles against righties, so that's probably the side to be on today. The one thing I'll say is that St. Louis's lineup has just not looked very good whatsoever. So I immediately think under here, Nerfy, and maybe the Cardinals pull out a home win, right? Their bullpen's better than Tampa Bay's as well. So I'll lean Cardinals, but minus 142 is, I would definitely say, is an expensive price for, especially a Cardinals team that hasn't been scoring a lot of runs. I think they've only won like 4 of their last 10 as well, whereas Tampa Bay's won like 5 of their last 7. But anyways, like, betting on a team minus 142, not exactly an offensive powerhouse right as of right now, and your stud starting pitcher has been a little bit shaky. So there's definitely some call for concern here. But to me, it's not enough to get me off it. So give me the Nerfy as well as the under and a potential potential play towards St. Louis here on the money line. All right, Texas taking on Houston. An extra innings battle last night. Texas pulls it out 4-3. Today on the mound, we have Framber Valdez going up against, I believe it's Tyler Mahle on the mound, who is making his season debut today? I believe so. I think he's been with the elbow injury in AAA, kind of getting back into form with some rehab starts. But nonetheless, in this one, I do like a potential bounce back spot for Houston. The problem is, haven't really been batting like crazy good. You know what I mean? Like, this lineup is kind of sort of just slowly going downhill in a sense. The most run they've scored in the last 8 games is 5. I think they've only done it once as well. Texas, on the other hand, I'm not necessarily saying they're a offensive powerhouse, but they're scoring more runs than Houston right now. So I could see someone getting to the plus money side of Texas today. I just don't know if I necessarily want to trust, the pitcher coming in after, not even pitching this season against a veteran lineup like Houston. So I'll lean towards Houston on the money line. I think you're getting a decent price for them, but a fair price in all honesty. Like, this is not an offensive powerhouse. I don't think Valdez is on the top of his game right now either. So yeah, I think this could be a spot for either team to win, which, go figure, one of these teams has to win, but I'll lean towards Houston. In terms of the total here, I'll also take a peek at the over. What if, Astros offense does click and then the Rangers keep doing their thing? We could see high scoring, especially after yesterday when not many runs were scored. Now, 4-3 looks like it was a middle of the pack game, right? But that took till like the bottom of the 8th to tie it up and then go to extras and that type of thing. So it was a slugger, like more of a sluggish game than it appears. All right, Cubs, Twins. Now, this is probably going to be one of the most, popular nerfy spots on the board today, and I can't hate it, you know what I mean? I still don't mind Imanaga and Lopez. The Twins' offense against lefties has not been that great. The Cubs' offense just in general is kind of middle of the pack. So, to me, you have Pablo Lopez, Shota Imanaga, pitching against 2 offenses that isn't like all that, isn't all that crazy or scary or anything like that. So, yeah, I don't mind the spot for them, for him overall. I would say that if everyone's on it, the books know that too. Depending on the price you can get, I don't mind that nerfy, but don't overpay for it. The total sitting at 6, like, I almost want to just say this has to go over, you know what I mean? In terms of what we see here, we have, I believe, just like 10% chance of rain, whatever. It's not going to be that bad, but it's just such a low number. Like, are we getting the little dangly thing on the tree and then it's a trap? So I'm going to lean towards the over. In terms of a money line play here, though, I'm going to trust Pablo Lopez as much as it pains me here because I like Imanaga too, but the Cubs don't really hit the fastball all that well. Though Minnesota isn't good against lefties, they do have a really good lineup in general, and maybe they do have some success today, just kind of in that thought. Now, Imanaga, they've never seen him, which is not a very good spot for any team that hasn't seen Imanaga, so there's definitely some concern there. But to me, I like the idea of getting the Twins for plus 100 odds here. So that's where I'm going to lean, but this is definitely a spot in which you could say, hey, either one of these teams, like you take the side. So I like the over. That could be actually a final play because I just think that everyone's going to look at these pitchers and say, yeah, no duh, it's under and all that. It's like 6 is freaking low, man. That is low. So I'll lean towards the over. All right, Kansas City taking on Boston. Lugo on the mound for KC, going up against Brian Bayo, who has definitely been more consistent as of late. Still is allowing a decent amount of hits and walks per game, like, around 7 to 9 guys on base per game, which isn't all that great. And Lugo had a couple bad starts, but overall, like, is still pitching very, very well. He has a start in which he had 6 earned runs in a start, and then I believe it was, let's see if we can find it. Yeah, against Boston, he got shelled too, right? Still all within the same 5 games here, has a 3 flat ERA. So I do think Lugo's probably in a better spot here, but overall, Boston against righties, like, I don't really care who you are, just like we saw them hit Lugo a little while back. Like, you can't really kind of tip your nose at it. So I think the way that I'll look at this is probably taking a peek at the over. Kansas City would probably be my money line spot, but like I said, you can never really count out this Red Sox team or anything like that based on how they can just put up a bunch of runs and in a hurry, right? So Kansas City's right in that exact same boat. As of late, their offense has been cooking as well, so I get it, but that's why I kind of look at the over and say, hey, a couple big innings out of these guys, and we could see some serious scoring. So I'll lean that way, as well as Kansas City on the money line, but to me, it's probably over or nothing for me. All right, Colorado, almost couldn't speak there, taking on the Mets. Severino on the mound going up against the Rockies. Probably a Mets spot, but, they necessarily haven't been the best of teams as of late. And minus 155 is pretty damn pricey for them, but Colorado with Freeland on the mound, I can't trust it. So I don't mind the Mets here, minus 155. The total's at 11.5. Maybe this is a spot where, the Mets can kind of break out and start scoring some runs. So I don't mind that look. But again, minus 155 for a team that I don't think is in their best form right now. A little worrisome there. Now, they did score, 6 runs in their last game, so good for them in a sense. But to me, 2, 4, 3, 2, that's how they'd been scoring. This is not the Mets that we saw, a while back. But, let's see what happens here today. I don't think that I'm going to bet this myself, but I don't think that I can really get to the Colorado side of things with Severino on the mound. This Colorado team against fastballs and sinkers and high-speed pitches hasn't been all that great lately. All right, Oakland taking on the White Sox, and it's funny because you have two, relatively speaking, bad teams here, but doesn't this just show, I guess, how bad the White Sox are? They've lost how many games in a row, and maybe it continues here, but you have Ross Stripling on the mound. Oakland, who has, been playing better baseball, but still not a very good team, right? They're 20 games below 500. But they're minus 192. So to me, odds-wise, and I'll sound the psycho alert alarm, but this is probably a White Sox spot. At some point, they have to win a game, and you're getting the best odds you have in a while in terms of comparing it to the competition. So I'll lean in that direction. Am I going to bet it? Probably not. If we flash over to the dashboard, look at this. This is why. You have Garrett Crochet on the mound, meaning he's pitching once every 4 or 5 games, right? And you still can't get a freaking win. You are that bad. So I lean Chicago because no way am I paying minus 192 for Oakland, you know what I mean? But that's almost comical at that point. But overall, I don't think this one makes its way into being a final play. But I'm not going to lie, if it did, I would bet Chicago. If I had to bet this game, I would. Or maybe not had to, right? If I was going to bet this game, I would look at Chicago. Total at 8. Neither one of these pitchers is scary. Cannon and Stripling. I just mixed their names. That was their couple name, Canning. But to me, you can't trust Chicago's offense, right? So I'll probably, if anything, say Oakland team total over, but doesn't that kind of counter the correlation that I'd like to see out of a White Sox win? It doesn't matter, guys. If you're betting this game, you got an issue, you know what I mean? By the way, if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 25. You made it 25 minutes into the video. And let me know if you are betting this game today, because you know what? I almost love you for it, but you're psycho. All right, Seattle's taking on Detroit here. We got Luis Castillo on the mound for Seattle going up against Keider Montero. In terms of how Seattle's been playing, their offense was cooking. Now, they've been a little bit more inconsistent. Like I said, I'm still kind of calling BS on it. I know they made some moves and everything like that, but I want to see kind of them be a good offense before we start acting like them scoring 6 runs is a norm. And they scored 0 runs against Wheeler last time out. Now, it was Zach Wheeler, so there's a little bit of, consideration to be given there. But overall, I still think Seattle, the reason they're minus 210 in this spot is because their pitching's very good. Castillo's been good on the at home this year, which he's at home right now. And Detroit's offense, it's where are you? You know what I mean? So I understand why Seattle's minus 210 in this spot. In this one, I would probably take a peek at the first 5 innings under. Right now, in terms of a price for under 4.5 in the first 5 innings, you can get a decent one here at minus 135 over on ESPN. So as long as Seattle's pitching does their job, I don't think that they're going to be the team that goes out there and scores 1,000,000 runs in the first 5. But again, I've been wrong about this offense a couple times. We've been right a couple times because they've been scoring 2 runs or 10 runs, you know what I mean? So still the jury's out in my mind on is this offense that much better than they were prior to the deadline? But overall, it's got to be Seattle probably on the money line in some sort of parlay if you worked it in there, because I don't think I'm going to be risking, minus 1.5 on the run line for them, especially when you think about the idea of what if they don't score that many runs? They don't have that much of a leash, right? If you wanted to force in, and I do think it's a little bit of a force in Seattle, you could look at them on the first 5 run line. But again, I don't necessarily want to be in a spot where I have to say this team has to be winning by X inning, whether it's 5 or 9, by a certain amount to be able to pull it out. So I like the first 5 under as my main play here. All right, Dodgers taking on the Phillies. We have Sanchez going up against Kershaw. Now, Clayton Kershaw hasn't looked all that great. Still kind of rolling into it, but Sanchez has been a home starter this year, and even still, he's kind of been shaky a couple times, but on the road, 1.74 whip, batting average against of 350, and his strikeout rate goes down from 20% to 12%, and his walk rate touches nearly double digits, so not the best spot here for him, I would say, but at the same time, like I said, Kershaw has been kind of like a question mark, right? So a little bit concerned here in this spot. I think I'm going to end up leaning towards the Phillies, though, just because their offense is really good. Now, their offense has been shaky, but against lefties in the last 30 days, 3rd best average, best in WRC+. Their power numbers are great. OPS first, ISO second, slugging first. I have to kind of look at that and say, okay, you know what? If we're going to get that, and then you have the Dodgers against lefties, which are either middle of the pack or worse, I can't really ignore it. So I'm going to lean Philadelphia here in this spot. You're also getting what I would consider a decent price, near even odds over on ESPN. MGM, excuse me, minus 105. I think that's a decent price for this Philadelphia team. Now, the bullpen situation might get you into trouble. We've seen this bullpen be very good at times and very bad, so I don't mind full game, but if you want to go and roll with, I guess, the first 5 or something like that, I understand that as well. And I'd also lean towards the over, because what if the Dodgers bats do kind of heat up and Sanchez has a bad start on the road like he has multiple times this year, and then what if the Phillies bats do get to Kershaw? Like, it just doesn't have many reasons to take an under overall versus an over. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Appreciate everyone, even rock with me, even when we are doing the road videos and whatnot, because it's tough to be on vacation and still produce a video, even though it's not as long and as great as these, right? I still do appreciate the appreciation for those videos. But all right, not going to get into one of those ever rants. I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.